Okay, guys, so thank you for joining me on this live stream. I'm going to go ahead and finish up some of the characters we have. So everyone voted for um, two characters from the Green Dragon Inn, which means that there will be potentially some clerics, thieves, and magic users mixed in there instead of just having fighters and thieves mixed in, which is what you get from both the Golden Pearl and the West Hills Trading Company. So we have a little bit more variety. It ended up being 60%. I can't pull that up right now, but I'll put some screenshots in the actual video because I'm going to be making this into a concise video as well, where I show the percentages of what people wanted and that type of stuff. Now I do have 3 characters already made up. I rolled these on stream. There was a video. I'm going to split my screen real quick. 1 second. All right. So I've already got 3 characters made up. You'll see them. Let me turn it this way so I can get on camera just a little bit better. And you can see here, well, let me try and figure this out. This is a better view for you. Okay, and I'm actually just going to pick up the camera and move it a little bit. So these are character sheets I made up. They're not 100% the way I want it to be. They are pretty close, and I will work on refining this as we go. I'm not staying terribly long in Holmes Edition, so I don't feel like that's super important. I just wanted to get this video up and going, and as scuffed as it may be, try and get this into the world out there. I don't do a whole lot of live streams, so we're going to have to work with me a little bit. All right, so the cleric, lawful good, is ending up wearing some plate mail with shield and has a wooden cross with no holy war, but I suspect he will be carrying holy war. I was going to give him holy war, and I realized I only rolled 100 gold for him, and he couldn't afford it. So he, I'm guessing, or she, we haven't really decided. There was a discussion about making it all dwarves and having the female be maybe the cleric or something, as a cleric paladin or cleric healer, and then make it like the Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. Not quite the 7 dwarves. We do have 2 dwarves, though. We'll come up to that in a second. So you can see here I got my backpack, flask of all this stuff. You get the general idea. It's loot. It's gear, I should say, really, not necessarily loot. Over here we have Nodok Blunt Axe. This is the brother to Logi Blunt Axe, and they're both dwarves. This is the high constitution with a 16 constitution, but then it has a low charisma and a low intelligence, being wise and strong. He wears plate mail and uses a sword. Also has a spear, a dagger, and a heavy crossbow. His less fortunate sister with a higher charisma has a 15 strength as well, and has slightly less dex and a little bit more intelligence, but then has a much higher charisma. And though we are not playing with paladins, she's going to represent sort of a lawful good paladin-esque like quality with her. So that's the basic general of what I'm doing. My nose is itching. If you don't know, and my audio sounds a little scuffed, I'm in a completely different room, completely different area where I can potentially play my game and not interfere with the gaming space that I play video games in, and I do my online D&D sessions and this type of stuff, also where I make my other videos. So I don't have like my AD&D books behind me and that type of stuff. I do have, though, my Holmes Edition rules, which will be very important and needed. I'm also going to be using a bunch of these tiles, which are reversible for terrain when I'm doing the dungeon exploration. I've not looked at the dungeon itself, only the intro section, which I'll read here in a second, or a portion of it, and we'll go from there. But first, we need to go ahead and roll the last 2 characters. So we're rolling 2 characters off of the Green Dragon Inn. Now, I went ahead, and as you can see, this isn't laminated, it's just the plastic sheet. But I've went ahead and rolled up 30 different NPCs, depending on which direction the party or the group of viewers wanted me to pull from. So I have that. They have all range of class, race, alignment. I have done a little bit of special rules I'm going to be talking about when I talk about in a future video how I made these characters and what my plan was if I had a character that was, excuse me, if they were evil as an NPC, because I still wanted that to be a thing, because this is a solo game and not necessarily me as just a dungeon master doing this forward. The potential of that still could be there, and I wanted to make sure I had that as available to me, and then have sort of structure when I wanted to do that. So a lot of that is found back here. I talk about the evil characters and how I have triggers and evil passions, and then these are sort of in addition to the other behavioral tips, and this was just something I did kind of for this setting. I did this in my original stuff too, but it was more detailed. This was just something I did kind of quick. I did put the Holmes edition gear, and I kind of laid it out by different categories. I have the weapons rack, I have armor, I have different animals. Vehicles is kind of a loose term for basically anything that could move you around or associated with it, like saddlebags. Specialty items. Over here, I put several just basically to fill that were talked about items back then and gave my own prices. So like, a hand mirror to look around corners, lock picks, which are discussed but never really encapsulated, this type of stuff. Yeah, wire and bells, caltrops, marbles, the important stuff. The one that is on there that is actually in the rules is silver-tipped arrows. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the Green Dragon Inn. Get this so where it's in frame, just like that. Now, it's a D10. I have these lovely big oversized dice. This is a normal sized dice, and this is a big sized dice. When I was doing my solo play, one of the things I realized is I need some oversized dice so the camera could see this better. This is the roll for the first character. So we're going to go with character number 6. So this is going to be, let me look at this name real quick. I've already picked up scuff from the table. That's kind of crazy. So number 6 is Aurum Bloodfern. So this is actually an elf. So we got pretty lucky. This is going to be a multi-class. Lawful neutral, 10 strength, 12 intelligence, 7 wisdom, 10 dexterity, 9 constitution, and 9 charisma. Starts with 120 gold. Is charming and has grit for personality types. So when I'm going to go ahead and figure that out, that is it. So the good news is this now means I have the ability to have a little bit of a magic user. I'm going to switch cameras again. Actually, let's roll for the second one. That is a 4. See it right there. And number 4 is Allnod Task. This is Tasker. Allnod Tasker. Another cleric. Human cleric. Alignment is questionable. He has a 6 strength, 13 intelligence, 14 wisdom, 13 dexterity, 14 con, and a 9 charisma. Starts with 90 gold and is practical and calm. And I'll have to check out the evil side of things, and we'll talk about that. That's kind of cool. I actually rolled one of the very few evil characters on the Green Dragon Inn. Okay, let me go ahead and switch cameras though. The reason why I switch this camera is that I don't want to move too much this way or this way and then fall off camera. while I'm doing this. Take off my glasses real quick. So he is a fighter. Magic user. I'm going to mark that with an MU. And then I'm going to put elf in the class section. So not a huge fan of these character sheets I kind of made. Well, I did make for Holmes edition, because there's a little bit differences here and there. He is lawful neutral. But there is benefit, I guess you could say, to having it this way. I mean, it's closer than what it would normally be, but it's not perfect. Now, this to hit stuff, I'm not going to worry about. It's all basically the same at this level. I will fill that in later. I'm not rolling hit points until the first time they're struck in combat, and I'm re-rolling ones. So they will not have 1 hit point, but they may only have 2. But they don't know that until something questions their hit points. I need to look at save throws, because they're going to be different for this one. So the elf gets the best of whatever version it is. Let me go ahead and switch the cameras back again so you can see what I'm looking at here. So one of the things I want to get here soon is one of these Elgato like decks that you can get, where you can push a button and it switches between different things, and it's smooth, and I don't have to manually click, and it's just like a little boop. But I'm not there yet. All right, so here we have fighter, fighting man, and thief, and they go right here. Then down here we have magic users. All right, so you can see here that the magic user has a 15 that's save versus staff and spell, and then versus magic 1, the fighter has slightly better. All this until you get to turn to stone, then the magic user gets that, and then the fighter gets the bear breathe against the breath weapons. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that down. I'm an elf, therefore I get elf benefits for secret doors. So that's going to be a 3 and 6. Find traps is still a 1. Hear noise is a 2 because I'm a demi-human. Force open doors is a 2. Okay. Now, let me go ahead and shut this real quick. Going to give me something to write on, because this table is terrible. You'll see it as we move it around, as I move things around. One of my daughters decided she was going to paint it and scrape it, and it was left outside for most of a year. And then I moved it back inside, moved it down here. And though I kind of like the scuffed look of it, I'm probably just going to seal it so we don't have flakes of old grade paint coming off this thing. Maybe stain it or something. Okay. So I have 120. This means I'll be able to afford plate mail. I want to start there. One of the few advantages, keep a running list. One of the few advantages players have over the bad guys is gear. I've been looking at, there's no difference between you attack, I attack, this type of stuff. So the question is, how are the players going to survive against goblins and skeletons and that type? Well, they survive because of armor class. It's harder to hit a player than it is to hit the bad guy. If the kobold is wearing armor class 6, that is way easier to hit than armor class 2 or 3. In other versions of the game, you get bonuses to hit, and usually the players get more bonuses. Also, there are versions of the game, basically, where the monsters don't get bonus to hit and damage, like original. They just have the straight to hit. And then one of their attacks, they might get a bonus to hit. If they're if it's based off of the fighting capabilities. All right, so we are going to go with a shield. Probably a couple weapons, though I foresee needing in their range. I could see that being beneficial. let's go with, I'm trying to think of, I'll go with a sword. I was trying to think of something that maybe wasn't so standard, but what I'm going to run into, I'm going to put a spear on here as well, is that there's not terrible amount of options here. And I'm going to take a dagger because that just makes sense. There's 3. All right. Let's go with a short bow because I don't think we need to shoot stuff crazy far away. I do not get a dexterity bonus. I do a d6 like everything else in the game. Range. Pull up my book. Look at range. Short bow is 50, 100, and 150. Okay. And that's 25 for that bow. I'm going to need to get me a quiver and arrows, so there's 10. And in pencil, I'm going to write times 30, so I know how many arrows I have. I'm not a huge fan of like marking off that type of stuff on the character sheet. I'll do that usually at the end of the game session or whenever we stop. I'll usually do that on like a scratch piece of paper until the end of the session. Okay, so there's that. Me going to add up what we got spent so far. 75, 110. Okay, so I'm going to need a rope. 50 feet with hook. Okay, so the rules have the rope, but they don't have the hook. The grappling hook is something I added. I came up with 3 gold being the same price as basically as a dagger, about the same difficulty to forge, I bet. So that's going to be a total of 4 gold for that. That means you could have a rope for 1 gold, or you could have a rope and a hook, or just a hook for a different amount. And I kind of like that idea. All right, we're going to go probably with torches because we're pretty broke. So we're going to go with torches. And this is times 6 for a gold. If you can hear my youngest one upstairs bouncing the ball and playing with the dog, I apologize, but I'm not sure you even hear that. And with 5 gold left, I'm going to go ahead and buy a week's worth of rations. Now actually I don't, yeah, it is a he, right? Yes, it is a he. He doesn't have a backpack yet. So he has 1 week worth of rations. Okay. And, XP. So, he has a 0 for XP. So he is the slowest leveling class in the game, and he has the slowest amount of XP. And this would be character number 4. In the top right-hand corner of all of these, I'm putting the number they are. Just A, so I can know where they're at in my stack, and B, so I know when they were made, type of thing. Also, I thought it'd be kind of funny if I got to character 40 or whatever. It'd be kind of funny. All right. Now, before I leave him, though, his spell. He has a 12 intelligence. Let me look and see what that is. All right, so right here you can see the magic user, which the elf is considered to be a magic user. So the magic user is going to have, with a 12, a 50% chance to learn any given spell, is going to have a minimum known spells of 4, and a maximum spells per level of 6. This one's going to know 4 different spells. I happen to have a spell list right here. And then I need to go ahead and roll, and that's the spells they're going to know. So, first level magic user spell. We need 50% chance. I have percentile dice. Nice. Sleep. For sure, I need to get sleep in there. 63. That is a no-go. So now we're going to have boy. Let's go with protection from evil. So 47. Okay, protection from evil is going to give me some bonuses to my armor class for a period of time. More survivability, good for someone in plate mail. But there's also some other things that would be kind of good. Hold portal would be a decent one to know. 37, that is one I know. Light. And magic missile probably for those times. Opt for. Expand upon this in the future. Also, I can swap these out if I get to a place where I want to learn sleep, for example. So I'm going to be doing this dungeon on hard mode. No sleep. Interesting. No whole persons, no sleep, no nada. All right. So I'm going to put this with a 4. So I know who that belongs to. And we're going to move on to the next one. Let me switch the camera back. This one here is Aldnod Tasker. He is chaotic evil. So this is bad in a couple ways. I'll get more into like the alignment stuff a little bit later, and we'll talk about that then. But it's bad in a couple ways. Chaotic is both bad and evil is both bad. There's some real problems with that. Also, he has 90 gold, so I'll get to that in a second. Let me go ahead and do his stats. We have a 6 strength, 13 intelligence, 14 wisdom, 13 dexterity, and a 14 con, and a 9 charisma. All right, now his thing is he's practical and calm. I need to write that on actually all of these real quick. I'll get to that other stuff in a second. He's going to be wearing chainmail. He can't afford plate. He's going to have a shield. Mace. Sling. Get a sticky note. Keep track of this stuff. Oh. Human, so obviously we have a 2 to force doors, 1 is secret door, find traps, and hear noise. Chainmail is 30 if I remember right. Yes. 10 for the shield. Mace is 5. Sling is free. We're going to need a holy symbol for turning stuff. So there's a 2. I'm going to put that as a worn item. And what else we have here? We're going to have a backpack. He'll carry 50 feet of rope too. No grappling hook though. We'll just go with a 50 foot of rope for right now. That's 1 gold. Carry a 10-foot pole. Costs a gold. We'll have a water skin. Probably a lantern. That's 10. Flask of oil will go with 3. Still going to buy torches. So it's all 7 gold there. Let me go ahead and see what he got here. So there's 30, 40, 45, 40, 52, 54, 64, 71. I mean, they have 21 gold, right? Yeah. 71, 29 gold, 19 gold, 19 gold. Yeah, the wrong way with that. Rations. Do that with a week. It's 5. Oh, iron spikes. Another good one to have. Hammer. So that's another, was it 1 gold for the iron spikes? They don't really sell hammers, so it's just going to be free. Essentially anything under a gold they didn't really track. They weren't really getting into that too much. I don't have a thief. That's going to be interesting. Don't need that. I really don't need... I could see some use of caltrops. Another item that would be known, but would not be maybe listed. I put it as 3 gold. Figuring these had to be shaped. That type of stuff. Essentially, they have anyone's movement going through it. If they make a save versus turn to stone, they don't suffer that afterwards. If they fail their turn to stone, then what happens, or maybe a dex check, then what happens is they step on the caltrops and they continue. They basically have their movement, which means if they then try and go through the next patch or whatever, it could be a real problem. Okay. So here we are at 12. I got 3 gold left. I don't have to spend everything. What's a nice 3 gold item? I guess let's go with the grappling hook. So I have a 50-foot rope with hook. Okay. All right, so here is number 5. Now, he is an evil cleric. That means he cannot turn undead. Interesting little thing. Also means he wouldn't get cure light wounds. He would get inflict light wounds. Also pretty interesting. All right, let's go ahead and look at Orum's real quick. He is charming, and grit. All right, we are just about ready to start. I'm going to have protection from evil memorized. So I've got that on there, so I know. Oh, by the way, when my characters graduate to second level, they get their own little folder. And on this folder, I will put their name. Until then, they get to be put in the group thing. So I'm going to be playing these characters through different starting games. I won't be necessarily making it. We'll see how long the evil guy lasts. He may fade away pretty quickly. A little bit of coffee. I got water over here. But I'm not trying to get that all over my stuff. So I got that separate. I have not rolled for the starting 3 characters personality stuff, and I wanted to do that. So we're going to go and roll a d20. My d20 is absolutely massive. As you can see, this thing is ginormous. Here's my oversized d10s, and then here is my d6. And you can see how much easier this is. I want to say it's like a 40 or 50 millimeter d20. This was, and it's the same color as my other Dungeon and Dragon dice, which I'll bring out sometime, but I'm not going to use them on camera because the paint kind of scuffs off, and I don't actually want them to get damaged. I want to use them in real games with other people. And that way, I don't know. We'll see. That's what my thoughts are right now. All right, so we're going to roll personality type for Mr. Auberg. It's A-E, so Edberg. Edberg, I think it's probably closer how you'd say it. It's Anglo-Saxon's what it is, so who knows. No, number 20, so he's an idealist. And sort of a behavioral type thing. 10. An innovative idealist. Ooh, it's like, is he 20? It's like he's coming straight out of college. He's an idea guy. All right. Next is going to be Nodok Blunt Axe, the male dwarf. Number 12. So he is enthusiastic. I could not see him any other way. And 10. I want 2 innovators. We'll do something different. Grit. I could do with 2 grit. Enthusiastic with grit. Now his sister, Loggy. She is an 11. So she is charming. Imagine that. The 17 charisma chick having charming. This is why I do this, because you would not believe how often this type of stuff happens, and you wouldn't believe it unless you saw it literally rolled. And 2, she is respectful and she is charming. I mean, really? All right, Loggy, well, we got you figured out. We got the characters all figured out. Like 30 or so minutes into my video here. So what does this mean? How did the party get here? What's the backstory? Let me go ahead and talk a little bit about it. So there is a overarching plot. I'm going to have a Patreon that's going to kind of get them through all the little starting things. We're going to go to this. We're going to go into BX. We're going to go and do Rodimus Keep. And then we're going to go into things like B1 in Search of the Unknown, B2 Keep in the Borderlands, and then we're going to do Princess of the Silver Palace of the Silver Princess. Palace of the Silver Princess, I think is what it is. B3, whatever one that is. All right, so the Patreon actually comes from that city where B3 is. We're going to end there. What we're doing between now and then, I'm not 100% sure, but we're going to do solo play all the way through. That Patreon has sent these 3 members out here to a small coastal village on the western half of a continent to meet 2 other people. As we have seen, I just rolled Orem up in the evil cleric. Those 2 were met here. They're going to be found in the Green Dragon Inn. And then they're also going to have someone to help. They're going to have a torchbearer who will also carry stuff if needed. Now I'm going to go ahead and roll one more time on this chart. Let me go ahead and switch cameras just one more time. I say that and I know that's not actually true at all. I'm going to say this is from the Golden Pearl. The Golden Pearl number 5 is going to be Grimwald Freylaf, who's a human fighter. Now, the reason why I've done this is a stand-in NPC that will be there if a party member dies. This is my first replacement. So I have small character sheets. Each one of these character sheets here is actually 2, as you can see. So it has the basics of the information on this part and on this part. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to write Grimwald. Grimwald, yeah. That is Grimwald, sorry. It's a fighter. Human. I don't know why this glitches here, but it's there. It wasn't on the other ones, was it? Nope. Oh, it's because it's a different thing. The Grimwald is... Oh, he's awful. He's also evil. He is lawful evil. That's nice. My replacement guy is evil as well. So I'm not going to... So the henchman they hired ended up being evil as well. So I'm going to put a 12 strength, an 11 int, a 12 wisdom, a 9 dex, a 9 con, and a whopping 4 charisma. Yeah. We're not worried about his money. We're going to assume he has nothing, but he's going to be efficient and adversarial. So he may fire himself. So he is efficient and adversarial. We don't know how many hit points he have. We're going to assume that he is not wearing plate mail, and he's going to be walking around with leather, which is going to be 7. For now. So he's going to be wearing leather with a 7 AC, and that's going to be Grimwald Freyleaf. He'll be NPC 1. Now, this torchbearer is not going to be gaining XP, but would expect a portion of treasure. So we'll worry about that stuff in a little bit, but we're not going to worry about that quite yet. Let me switch cameras. So we're not going to worry about that stuff quite yet. We'll worry about XP and all that later if he does become a party. Now, what happens if I get an all evil or mostly evil party? Maybe we have a Clash of Royale, a Rumble, and we see if the party switches from good to evil. I mean, it was possible to have evil characters. If you looked at Gary Gygax and his children's and other people's kids in the Rogue Gallery book, it literally talks about the fact that many of them were evil. They were not they were not considered to be good. Okay, let me see what time it is here. It is 6:01. Okay, so here's the thing. In the very back of the book, there is a section. Here, it goes into the sample dungeon, and then here we have a map. I have seen the map, just being completely honest. I've not looked at it a whole lot. I know it's there. The very last of this page, it says start on the dungeon map. Okay, so I'm going to read what it says about this, and we'll go from there. So the background of this place is 100 years ago, there was a sorcerer named Zenopus, who built a tower in the lower hills overlooking Port Town, which is on the western side of a continent, essentially. So Port Town will be a place that we're going to use in our little campaign that I'm going to be doing here. It was close to the sea cliffs of the west of the town, approximately next door to the graveyard. Rumor has it that a magician made an extensive cellar tunnels underneath the tower, and the tower located on ruins of a much older city of a doubtful history. Okay, essentially, he dug too deep. 50 years or so ago, on a cold winter night, the wizard was suddenly engulfed in green flames, and several say that their master was destroyed in some sort of powerful blast. So some of his servants were able to escape. When we do a longer campaign, I will have some of those people still detailed. There is one who is a scribe who lives in town, who is associated with the Patreon. So it is the connection point between here and the Patreon. This person came here to go ahead and find out what they could about this tower. There are several lonely towers. This is one of them. If you look at the thumbnail of this video, you'll see a lonely tower. Another one is in B1. There's lonely towers around, keeping the borderland. And then, of course, this all leads back over towards B3. Okay. Anyways, goes all the way down. There was a bunch of conflicts that were going on where goblins were coming out of this tower where the wizard once lived. No one has seen anyone for 50 years that came out of there. The guards got tired of the harassment from the goblins and pushed the tower in on itself, essentially making it unpassable. They were able to get parties in and out. Occasionally, people made their way in there. Everyone who goes in there from like the Green Dragon Inn never comes back. It's unknown if the goblins are killing them, if they're getting lost, if there's a secondary exit. It's not really known what happens. Well, that's where the party comes in. The 3 were sent here to meet the 2 plus the torchbearer, and now they're going to make their way in. I'm not going to try and make this too long of a thing. If you're doing your own campaign, I would think there'd be some great reaction stuff. Now, I'm going to go ahead and roll something just a little bit different. Because they are supported by a Patreon, I'm going to roll a dice, my big red 20 here, and we're going to see how much aid the patron, not the Patreon, that's different, that's a website, is willing to help them. And then we'll go across a few things. Now, how could this be helpful? It's not going to give more gear, per se. Not like everyone gets suited plate mail. Everyone gets like a +1 weapon. We're not doing that. But I could see the clerics having scrolls of cure light wounds and the fighters having potions of healing. I could see the elf being able to get like having a scroll already done of like hold portal or something of that nature. So we're going to roll real quickly. I'm going to roll for each one of the 5 characters and we'll see what they get. And that's essentially how we're going to go. And I'll roll for the elf 50-50, potion of healing or a scroll of one of their spells, and I'll roll which one it is. All right, let me go and switch cameras. Okay, so character number 1, the idealist, innovative cleric, Adberg Schaefer, right? Does he get benefits? That is a 1. No, sir. He does not get any benefits. We are only looking for something around a 10. 10 to do it, 20 to be super awesome. 1 is a no. This is a 3 for the enthusiastic grit Nodok Blunt Axe. His sister, Lagi Blunt Axe, who is a charming, respectful dwarf. She will get a potion of healing. Potion of healing times 1. Yay, we got something. Now, Mr. Orem here, Orem Bloodfern, the charming and grit elf. He has an 8. That is nada. So there is not a lot of help from the patron on this at all. And then Alnod Tasker has got a 6. The patron did not help him either. And the torchbearer doesn't get any help. So we got a potion of healing. This is going to be pretty interesting. I'm glad to give it a chance, and I'm glad that it didn't necessarily come through like maybe we were thinking it might. So let me go ahead and describe what this looks like, and we'll go from there. So the party gets to the stairwell, gets to the ruined base of this tower that has been pushed in upon the rubble below it, trying to keep the goblins out. There's a non-distinct path that hasn't been walked a whole lot that does lead to where there was a internal stairwell that went down into the catacombs where storage and other things was stored. We'll find out what in a minute, because I don't know. I haven't read that far. We just know there was all sorts of catacombs and towers. That is going to be down there. What it says is that there's a set of stairs that leads 25 feet straight down and ends in the corridor marked Start on the dungeon map. Okay, so it says here this room is a large 120 foot by 100 foot room approximately. There are doors to the east and to the west and to the south. The room is furnished with rough tables and benches as, I get to flip it over because I don't know what it says beyond this. Many beds are there, occupants. We have potential for a fight. Let's see how quiet the party is. So, party gets to the bottom of the stairs. I don't know if there's going to be a door at the bottom of the stairs. Does it just end at the bottom of the stairs and go into it? The map doesn't show. It just shows a straight line going to a hallway. So I'm going to say, flip my camera. I'm going to say that we don't know. So I'm going to do a 50-50. There's a door. So no, there is not a door. I'm going to say the party is obviously moving slowly, moving at normal speed. So I'm going to give the occupants in what should be a 100 and 120 foot room, which I do not see. I'm assuming this is the room. Okay. I don't understand this. You start here, but the first room they list here is A. There's nothing in this hallway. Okay. Back up here. A little bit of a hiccup. You don't start with A. You would think you would start with A because it says start on the dungeon map, and then it goes directly to A. You would think you would start with A, but you don't. You start with C. C is an empty corridor All corridors in this dungeon are 10 feet wide and have 10 foot high. The magic user's secret corridor SF is 555, wherever that is. I don't know where that is yet. Oh, S to F. Got you. I see where that is. That's nowhere near me. I'm not worried about that right now. Remember that at the end of 3 turns, a wandering monster might appear. Corridors are likely places for this to happen. It literally says that specifically. I'm going to go ahead and put this dice over here. You'll be able to see it, and that'll be my counter. I'm going to put it right here. And you'll be able to see my counter, and I'll be flipping this every turn. So I get to the bottom of the stairs. There's no... Oh, I don't know. Well, it's an empty corridor. So we know it starts empty, and then it could become filled. So from here, I have a pathway to the north, to the west, and to the south, or I can go east back up the stairs. Okay. I'm going to say I don't really have a preference. I don't know what the rest of this map looks like. I'm going to go ahead and roll a d6. 1 and 2 is south. 5 and 6 is north. We're going to continue west. There is a door at the end of this hallway. I'm going to be moving. Let's get my order here. So we're going to have Nadak Blunt Axe in the front. I'm going to put an in. Then we're going to put A. And we'll have O for Orem. Then we'll have the Torchbearer. So G. Now the question is Alnod or is Loggy going to be in the back? High is Loggy. Loggy is in the back. So we'll have A plus for AL actually for Alnod. And then we have Loggy on the back. Okay, so that's going to be our marching order. We're going to march west here and head towards this door. I'm going to go ahead and give myself a listen check. We'll have, what's his name? Nodak. Nodak, go ahead and make his listen check. And we will have, I just picked up the wrong dice. Dang it. I'm missing a d6. It's not the end of the world. Oh, here it is. So Nodak and the elf will go up front to listen, and the elf will move back since Loggy's in the back listening or paying attention. This is to see if they hear anything at the door. If there is anything in there, one of them will have heard it. We're looking into E. Room E is always empty. It's the size of the room and number of doors are as variable as they are shown on the map. Okay, so room E is for empty. I can note that in the future moving forward. This room here, if you look at it, I'm going to move this out of the way. You can see here, in this one here, it is 5 spaces by 2 spaces. Now, each one of these spaces is 10 feet, so that's 50 feet by 20 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and roll to see if anything's in there. On 1 or 2, we have Wandering Monster. We do have Wandering Monster. I'm going to go to the very back of the book. I'm going to find level 1 Wandering Monsters. It is on a D12. It is a 3. So we are looking at bandits. A D4 bandits. You have to trust me, this says 2 right there. So we have 2 bandits. I'm going to roll luck to see what are they doing. High is lucky for the party, low is unlucky for the party. This is high. I'm going to say they're not paying attention or are basically asleep. I'm not going to give them a check to notice the party on the other side of the door. Therefore, when the party goes to enter the room, if they do it silently, which we don't have a thief, so we have a problem, then they're going to be able to do it. I'm going to see if Nordok is able to push open the door. With a 4, he will not. I'm going to have the next one in line, which will be the cleric. I'm going to learn these names better, which is Oddberg. Help. Now, they didn't do it. I'm going to give another shot at this with the elf. The elf is going to be able to do it, so Orem comes to the rescue. Now, I'm going to give one hear noise check for the bandits on the other side of the door. They fail with a 3. Now I'm going to go ahead and do up this room. And this is the fun that I have with this stuff. And I'm going to be moving these tiles around a little bit. So this is 20 by 20. Now I need to get my doors. And we have a door directly across. Is it a secret door? No. And it actually has a lip. So it's actually got like this little gap on the other side over here. If that makes sense. I'm going to pick up the cameras a little bit so you can see what this looks like. This is the room. Here's the direction we're coming. This is the direction we could go out the other side. I guess it would have been helpful if I would have got my NPCs or my characters made up the way I wanted to, but I didn't do that, did I? I got kind of some ideas on how I wanted to do this with tokens and whatnot. I just never quite got into it. All right, so let me go ahead and go through some stuff real quick. Unfortunately, I didn't think this part through. I don't know why I didn't think about this part. Just didn't. I have lots of characters I can use. I'll use this for a cleric. Got an elf. It's pre-painted. I will have much better characters moving forward. We'll use him, and we will use. Actually, I'll put that guy back. Him. So that's the party. Torchbearer will be this guy with the chalice. Oh no! Wait, let's go with the one with this. The penitent person with the thing, and then we'll just use token for this. Let me go ahead and show you what these miniatures look like. Okay, so we have an elf. It's a pre-painted miniature. We're going to have, this is going to be character 1. This will be Oddberg. This will be the torchbearer. This will be the cleric that's evil. This is Orem, Oddberg. I need to start using their names or I'm going to forget it. I want to refer to them as character 1 to character 2. Oh, they're dwarfs. I'm probably going to be diving into this later. This is my undead. Is it in this box set? I have two very high-level looking bandits. We'll just use those for bandits for right now. They're not very representative, to be honest. I have a lot of dwarves. I know where dwarves are. Let me go grab some painted dwarves. Okay, so clearly these are not going to be perfect. These are not even fully painted. I just grabbed two slayers and I'll move on. All right, so this is going to be Logi and this will be Nordok. So Nordok will be in the front. Then we had Adberg. Then we have Orm. And then behind that, we have the Torchbearer, right? Yes. And then we have Ulnog, the evil cleric. And then we'll have Logi in the back facing the wrong way on purpose because she's watching our backside. Okay, so they did not hear us. We were finally able to get the door open with the third attempt. The door is open. Flip this over and the doors are now open. I'm going to give them a wisdom check to see if they are perceptive enough to, or alert enough to see the doors move before the party has advantage. That is an 11. I would say that's going to fail based upon the luckiness of the party so far. Now, the party is not necessarily just straight bad guys, but they see they have the advantage of the fight with these bandits. I'm going to give Nordok the chance to see whether or not he recognizes these guys as not good guys. I'm going to say basically anything other than a 1 through 5. You can see that as a 14. So he's going to know these are brigands, these are bandits. While he doesn't necessarily have to kill them, for sure subduing them is the way to go. He's going to rush in and do that now. The cleric. What does the cleric think about this? I'm going to give him, he is an idealist and he is a innovative type of person. He's going to probably, let's see, I'm going to roll a d8. 1 through 4, he'll look around the room. Probably 5 through 7, he will assist him, and on an 8, he'll have the, instead of fight and flight, there's another one, pause. He'll pause. So 8 is bad. We have a 3, so he's going to go into the room and basically check it out. He is also not necessarily the frontline fighter. Elf is going to go through. The elf is charming, and no. Orm is charming, but with grit. So I'm going to say on anything other than a 1 through 5, we have a 15. He's going to move in. Now, what the basic thought process is they're going to basically give direction that you are to surrender or perish. And they will have their weapons out and be brandishing at them. These two are going to be moving in. The torchbearer is going to move next to the cleric because they don't want none of that heat. Question is, what will the evil cleric do? The evil cleric, Mr. Ulnod, is practical and calm. So he's not going to be brash. He's not going to rush in. But he is definitely going to make the argument that they don't need to necessarily let these people live if this goes, the way he believes it's going to go. Logi is going to continue to face down that hallway because there's only 2. With a quick glance, she's able to determine that there's no need for her to go in there all the way. Now, I'm going to give a check. I'm going to give a +2 on the 2d6 check. Here's for the reaction roll. We have a 6. So that's going to be an 8. Let me go look at what an 8 does on the reaction table. Make sure it's not different than what other additions are. 8 is uncertain. Make another offer and roll again. The offer is going to be surrender or die. I'm going to make a check on him. This will be a 5+. He does not smack one to prove their point. Barely. I got a 9. So he does not go over and smack, but he does stand, not necessarily between them, but he does help the elf insist. And this time we have a 9 + 2, as you can see. So that's going to make an 11. Accepts the offer and is friendly. In this case, they offer to be gagged, tied, and that. So one of the 50-foot pieces of rope is now reduced. They are now restrained, and they're going to be gagged and basically left in the corner over here. And these creatures are going to be defeated. Now, they are bandits. Let me see what type of things bandits have. They are a human type. I'm going to go here real quick. See if there's anything of note. So they're treasure type A, which is going to be horde treasure, not individual treasure. So we're not even going to roll into their specifics. I'm going to say it's just 2 tied up bandits, and we'll move on. However, on my tracking paper, I am going to write down bandits. I'm going to put ×2. Or really put 2 check marks next to it. So I know that there have been 2 bandits that have been defeated when it comes to XP later. Okay, so now we have not had combat. We have reduced the combativeness of that group. They are now tied and basically in the corner, and the party is going to try and gain some sort of information. We did get a pretty high roll. They'll ungag one and talk with them and see if they're willing to trade their freedom for that. Now, that was turn 1. We're going to be on turn 2 now. Turn 2 is going to show that we don't have to have a wandering encounter check, but we are going to be here a while. The question is, what is the rest of the party going to be doing? I'm going to say that Loggy is going to close these doors. No. They're going to pin the doors open, spike the doors open so they can get out. And then she will stand on the side and basically keep watch. The torchbearer will come over here in the corner to kind of give light, but not be that. They don't think anything's over here. But they will have the cleric here with a bullseye lantern and Nordock. And they will be searching for secret passages over here in this 10-foot by 10-foot area, this section of camp, while they got everyone else tied up over there. The elf will pull watch over here, essentially. The evil cleric and the elf will be the one trying to gain that information. No, Loggy. Elf can pull watch. Loggy has a high charisma. Has the 17 charisma, if you remember. So Loggy and the evil cleric will be the ones trying to get the information. I'm going to make a roll underneath charisma to see if this is successful. I rolled an 8, as you can see. And that means that it's successful. They were able to have a good conversation. Now the question is, do the bandits know anything? They rolled a 16. That is going to be a no. They don't probably know a lot. What will they know? They know that they came here. It was in the dark. They came by ocean. They entered the tunnels through some way. They were told to post guard here. They didn't think anyone would ever come to the door. So they weren't really excited to do it in the first place. And they know that there are goblins here as well. So no real new information. Okay. So now what? Gag him back up, leave him there. Like, hey, what about letting us go? Here's a check. Is this cleric going to continue to be good as far as not go after them in a bad way? Oh yeah, I need to roll their passions, triggers, and evil personalities. They have a little bit more. So their trigger is going to be on a D8. We got a 6. So giving mercy is the thing that this NPC does not like. Now, it doesn't have anything to do with this, but he's just not really one to give mercy. So anytime mercy is shown, like in this situation, it could be a problem for him. We're going to start that roll in just a second, but we'll worry about the rest of it. Now, he also has evil passions. This is a D8. Also roll a 6. He has hatred. And I'm going to say 50% chance of a group or of a race. So high is race. It is a race. 50% chance PC race. It is a PC race. I'm going to say probably more likelihood than not it's going to be humans. So, well, not human because he is human. So I'm going to say dislikes. Boy, kind of dug myself into a corner here, haven't I? Will he get along with dwarves? That's the big one. So we're going to have probably 50% chance of it being elf. So 3, 4 elf, 2s is dwarves, and 1 is elf, or is halfling. It is elves. So he doesn't get along with elves. He doesn't like elves. Hates elves. Okay. They didn't do anything to him that we know of, right? And then personality. So we have first one is a 4. He is a narcissist. And the second one is also a 4. We've really been rolling a lot of doubles. Brash decisions. Well, I've been kind of playing them that way anyways, right? I and my E's backwards in that one. All right, so brash decisions. Okay. So, is he going to act out on his evil tendency to be brash? He is new. He doesn't have a whole lot. We are going to roll a triggered effect. Basically, anything neutral is fine. Low is bad. High is good. Okay, so we rolled a 4. So that's bad. I'm going to say he's going to act out on his brash decisions, and he is going to hit one of the tied up people, and we'll have some inter-party conflict potentially in the first room. Not exactly as I wanted to go. That was by the dice. I would have given him a better chance to make it a little longer, but we'll see. And we'll see if he's able to talk his way out of it. So here's for the attack roll. It missed. So that's probably a benefit. I'm going to give Loggy a chance to try and calm that situation down. She is going to kind of step over the bandit and be like, you can't attack an unarmed person. What are you doing? But with a much better charisma than me, with a 17 charisma. She made her charisma. I'm going to see if he's able to control himself. Mr. Allnod has an intelligence of 13. He is able to let cooler heads prevail. He does have calm. He explains he was just trying to be practical, that trying to keep these alive is foolish and it's going to get someone hurt. 9 charisma. We have a 4. So yes, that does work. That does kind of lie in the thing, and some people are able to believe it. They just won't have him deal with the guards. He can hold a torch over here, and they'll have the other one take care of that. We'll have you go help the dwarf over here look for secret passageways. Okay, so there's that. Dwarf spends a little bit of time looking for secret passageway. There's nothing to find. He doesn't find anything. Party reconvenes over here again. Again, we're going to have the same lineup as before. Loggy in the back. Torchbearer. Just like this. Now, okay, you can kind of see I'm going to move this stuff back. We don't need this door. And we're actually going into room A. We already know this room is absolutely massive. Let me go ahead and get some bigger tiles. Doggone. Let me go ahead and get this over here. So, these tiles right here are 40 foot by 40 foot. They have 8 spaces on each one of these spaces being 5 foot. So, that means that for a 100-foot tile, we literally are going to be going this big. And for a 120-foot tile, we're going to be doing 3 of these. So imagine 3 by 2 plus that half. Pretty big space. Let me go ahead and move some miniatures around, get that set up, and I got to pick up my thing that actually fell, as you saw. Right, be right back. That's what I need. I need a be right back screen. And I need a way to access all these tiles without having to balance it on like my lap and the table next to me, as a foolish person might. So it is longer east to west than it is north to south. I bought these tiles back when I was doing 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons. This came out with 4th edition Essentials, which was with Pathfinder and all those things. Boy, okay, so this is a really, really big. I don't need this much space. I just don't. I'm going to put 4 tiles down, essentially, and leave it like that, because we know what's here. We have tables, we have beds, and we have a door. And on the back side, we have a hallway, essentially, with Nautic Adberg, excuse me. And then we have Orm. Orm's name seems to just really follow me well. We have Grimwald, the Torchbearer. And then we have Alnod, the Cleric, and Logi, Sister of Nautic, in the back. Okay, so we're going to have Nautic try to go through the door, or do a listen check first. No listen check made. Over the other, of course, we have Orm come up there too. He also failed. Nautic is going to go ahead and push open the door. He fails. We're going to have the Cleric Eadberg help, who fails, with the the elf's assistance, they were able to finally push open the door. Now, this room is room number A. So we know this room had things in it. It was a massive room. There are beds. This room is 120 foot by 100 feet. There are doors to the east, west, and south. This room is furnished with rough tables, benches, as many beds as there are occupants. And the occupants are 3 goblins in this case. The Dungeon Master should increase the number if the party of adventurers is a large one, i.e. more than 3 if the party has or more than 3 if there are more in the party. Have 5 goblins or 4 goblins or 7 goblins, 8 goblins, etc. Okay, so we have a total of 5 party members. So we're going to be facing 5 different goblins. That is literally a design of the rules in the rules that I think makes a lot of sense. Let me grab my goblins. I luckily do have my goblin box. And I will have all my other miniatures. I just put them away. And the other thing I have is I have a lot of them painted. I just need to get this set up a little bit better so this runs cleaner. Orcs in the top row. Some nice zesty little goblins. So, goblins do not like light. They're very affected by light. Therefore, anyone walking in the room with a torch is going to announce their presence far faster than not. So I'm going to go ahead and say that there's a greater than not chance that they are going to be alerted to the human presence sooner versus later. Here's before the door opens. 15, high is good for the party, low is bad for the bad guy, or good for the bad guys. In this case, they were not alerted before the door opened. Once the door does open, 16, they're going to say there's a moment where the party can look around and then they will not see the goblins. And I'm going to give the goblins a hear noise check to see if they hear the humans walking or the party members walking around. This is a massive room. And oops, I got more goblins. And there are 5 goblins in here. So we have the ability okay. Here's 2 more goblins. All right, so I'm going to give the goblins a hear noise. They don't hear noise as soon as the door opens. The party's going to be able to move in and look around. I'm going to start putting some tables and whatnot around here as the party essentially spreads out. These 2, oddly enough, have started to build a kinship. Loggy's going to go ahead and stand at the door and look back. Now, they don't agree on everything because one is evil and one is chaotic, but they do agree on a great number of things. So we're going to have some tables. If you can see that, I'll pull back so you can sort of get a look at it. So essentially we have some tables. Yeah, stuff like that. So these goblins are wearing leather armor and carry swords and daggers. Each one can take a 8-sided dice of damage minus 1 point, roll a regular attack dice, subtract 1 for the result if the goblin hits. So they're minus 1 to damage. Nice. So this is giving you basically the understanding of how to be able to move forward. I didn't know this game did this. They don't do this in Search of the Unknown, Keeping the Borderlands, and that type of stuff. I've run those modules for my BX campaign. They don't do that in those. So I think that's cool they do that here. If the number of goblins goes to half, they'll try and escape through one of the doors or surrender. If surrender, they accept the captured. If the surrender is accepted, the captured goblins will offer to lead the party to a treasure. We'll get to more of that in a second. Don't necessarily trust a goblin, right? There are wooden chests under each bed. We'll get to that in a second. So we know there are 5 goblins because there are 5 party members. So there are a number of beds, which is important to the number of party members. So when we defeat 3 goblins, the other 2 will try and flee. I'm going to go ahead and set this up as neither one were surprised. The party is not going to be surprised in this moment. I'm going to give them probably a check. Well, no, because it was on the benefit of the party. If it had been unfortunate for the party, I would say they would be like over here in the corner and they would have a jump on the party. As it is now, we have 2 bullseye lanterns and a torch that are basically going to create enough light to be able to see around the room. So I'm going to go ahead and go to initiative. Initiative goes by who's got the higher dexterity. The party's dexterity is an average of 9, 10, 6, 10, 13. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, so we're not very high. I'm going to say it comes down to a d6 roll. In the party's favor, the party will get to go first. I'm going to go ahead and line up some goblins over here. Now, Logi and Norduck are dwarves. Goblins hate dwarves. Will attack them immediately on sight. I have dwarves hate goblins. They're PCs. Nothing ever controls the behavior of a PC. However, for roleplay purposes, they're going to definitely not hold back on attacking the goblins. Therefore, they're not going to be sitting back in this fight. They're going to be going into melee. Now, let me look real quick to see if the elf might hold back. I believe the elf has a short bow. Yes, Orem does have a short bow. We will go ahead and have Orem stand back over here with a short bow. The dwarfs will move into melee with these 2. The torchbearer will move back by there. This cleric was fairly close. They have a sling, but for sure there's a need to have some in melee. The evil one doesn't mind killing goblins, but will allow the party to weaken themselves. Moves off by himself, sets his lantern down, and pulls out a sling. That will be his turn. This cleric is going to sheath the shield or leave it on his back and then use his mace to smack this creature. So we're going to have 3 people attacking. Party goes first. We're going to roll first with Norduck. Norduck. Oops. We are still in turn 2. I'm going to say that was a cocked dice, even though it's a really big dice. I need an open space I can roll on. That is a 9. A 9 will not hit, even with that. The cleric rolled a 10. 10 hits. I want to say that's going to be a miss. 10 hits AC 9. Goblins. These goblins are wearing leather, right? Yes. So that is going to miss. And then Loggy is going to come over here. Yeah, we are rolling terrible. That is a 4. So, in no way, shape, or form does that hit. We're going to have Orem over here shoot his bow. He has no bonuses to hit, but I roll a 13. Whoops. It's a little predictive. I don't want my cleric to die, but he might have. So he's going to hit. They do a d6 damage. For 6 damage, that is more than the goblin could have. This goblin will die. So over here on my chart, wherever it went, I'm going to write goblin. And put one down. Move a goblin off the battlefield. This cleric, Alnod, will not be able to go this turn because he basically was repositioning everything. This will then allow the goblins to come back into the party. I'm going to have this goblin close into melee with Norok. So Norok is going to have 2 on him. First goblin rolled a 13. That is going to be a miss. Second goblin rolled a 5. Then against Aidberg, the goblin. So 7. And now we have against Loggy 14. Now, Loggy does not have as good of AC as Nodok has, but she does have a shield. So she is AC 4. That is still not a hit. Now, if you notice on the character sheets, I've not wrote hit points yet. I'm rolling this until they get hit they don't know. And then once we know they get hit, I'm going to then write their hit points down because it's kind of a little bit scary because we don't know how many hit points. They could have 8 hit points or they could have 2 hit points because they rolled a 2 on their hit points. All right, so that is the first round of combat. The cleric's going to be like, oh no, I got my bullseye lantern in place and I got my sling out, but now everyone's in melee. I'm going to put my sling away, grab my shield and my mace and run forward and jump into melee with this goblin and now attack. Okay, so he's going to go there. Orem, the elf, is going to switch the bow over his back, grab his spear, move outside of melee range of the goblin and try and stab the goblin with his spear, allowing Loggy to take the potential brunt of this attack. Some benefits to that generally later, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Okay, so here is the attacks. We're going to start this way again. We're going to start with Alnog, the cleric, who rolled a 14, as you can see. That will be enough to hit. I'm going to do a d6 damage for 4 points of damage. Now, if I remember right, they said that the goblins roll a d8 hit points -1. So, I guess technically they could have had. So, that would be still 1 hit point. So that's going to be a goblin. You don't get a 0 hit point. So this goblin is now dead. And for the goblin counter, we have another right there. Nordok is going to go after the one he's on. He rolled a 16, so we are good there. He's going to roll a d6 damage. He does 3. The goblin has 6 minus 1 for a total of 2 hit points left. So, I'm going to name this Goblin 1 G1. who has -3. And on the side here, I'm going to put that he has 2 hit points left. Now, the cleric here, Oddberg, is going to go after the goblin in front of him. He rolled a 7, which is a miss. Ormer is going to roll with a spear. He rolled a 17. That is going to be a hit. He's going to do 5 points of damage. The goblin has 3. That goblin dies. Combat happens at the same time. I'm not going to give Logie any ability to move. She just basically cleaves into a dead goblin, increasing the damage done to it. We have now killed 50% of the goblins. I'm going to give them a reaction roll. They roll a 4, which I'm going to say is bad, because that means they would be fighting. So they're going to continue to fight. But if another goblin dies, I'm going to give the last one a chance too. And then that's it. They only get 1 chance. All right, so the goblins are going to go back. So into Norok. That is a 9 again. Into Oddberg. That is a 2. So we've been very lucky on them not damaging. The party is going to surround them more. Again, we're going to have the elf stand back with a spear. The torchbearer is going to move over here to give a little bit more light and be close to the party. Cleric for Aldnog over here rolled a 1. 1s don't automatically mean something. I'm going to give it a dex check to see if he maintains control over his weapon, just because that's how I think that works. So Aldnog has a dexterity of 13. So maintains control over his weapon, does not drop it in the fray. Nordok, is going to go after this. Rolls a 19. That is definitely a hit. Going to do a d6 damage. We already know this guy has 2 hit points left, and that is enough to kill this goblin. Goblin number 4 is down. Now, we're going to roll a morale check on this goblin to see if he will surrender. In this case, for sure, he does surrender. Will Logie not attack? Most important, will Logie not attack? Because remember, Logie has hatred towards goblins because they've been fighting goblins their entire life. Logie has an intelligence of 8. She rolled a 7. I'm going to say that's enough to hold back. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say that the lawful neutral elf and the lawful good cleric will accept the surrender because they're both lawful. If they were chaotic, I would give that a chance to fail. If they were neutral, I'd give that a chance to fail. If it was neutral good, I probably would say that would be with bonuses to not fail. Yes. I had to think about my vocabulary there. So we have taken a goblin into custody. Go ahead and mark that as goblin number 5. Remove it from the battlefield. No, we're going to put it on its side, and we're going to have it hang out with the cleric. So, the goblin will give advice, and will tell them about loot and treasure and this type of stuff if asked. And the party does ask, of course, because everything revolves around loot and treasure. All research into things, including alchemy and whatnot, is always about loot and treasure. How can we make gold? How can we do this? How can we do that? It's never for pure and good reasons. It's always about loot, 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 right? Especially in a world where loot is gained by XP. I'm going to go ahead and give these guys their formation while I do this. This actually goes here. And that, and then this. That way they're already set up in order as I clear the board. All right, so there are 5 chests. I'm going to go ahead and put a sticky note down. Don't need this one. I probably didn't need to do that, but okay. So I'm going to put chest 1. The goblin says there are a chest under each bed. Now, fortunately, we don't have a thief. Bit of a problem. What does it say? There are small wooden chests under each bed and several leather sacks hanging on pegs along the wall. Most of the sacks contain junk and clothing and dirty clothing and bones and etc. We're going to say you can see that kind of coming out of it. There are several cloaks hanging on the pegs on the wall as well. It describes the room as having 3 different chests. And it describes what's in the content of each one of those chests. I'm going to say they're similar, but not exact. And we'll go from there. So goblins also are loot table L. I looked this up before that they carry electrum pieces. I'm going to say that's a splattering of coins with a rareness on gold. So it's going to be mostly silver and copper and electrum, not just 2d6 electrum on all goblins. The total pool will be 2d6 electrum, of that being a mixture of different coins. That is a narrative decision by me that actually is against the party, because having 1 electrum worth of copper is electrum to silver, which is 5, and then 50 copper. So 1 electrum is 50 copper. That's 50 coin weight. It actually ends up being very negative for the party in that way, but I'm of the opinion you're probably not carrying a whole lot of copper out anyways. So that's just kind of, but I don't like having just electrum pieces on goblins ever. That just is silly. Okay, so I know that chest A is a certain thing and chest B is a different thing. So I'm going to put A and B here. So 1, 2, and 3 I don't know, but I'm going to go ahead and roll high or low here. High is A, B is low. So B, actually, excuse me. And B is actually the better one. It just comes second. No, sorry, A is the better one. So I had 1 high, 1 low. Okay, so I don't know which one's which. We'll figure it out. No, I take that back. It is going to be backwards. A is going to be the second one because I put too many B's down. So I'll have to figure that out. Okay, I'm sorry. I wrote that wrong. A lot of things going on. Okay, so what happened is this. Party's going to go over, see these chests, see these things. They're going to have to spend some time. We are already on turn 2. This is going to go to turn 3 just to take in the room where the goblins are at. Now I need to roll a wandering monster and check. We have a wandering monster. Let's go back to the wandering monster table. Roll a d12. 2. 2 to 8 more goblins come in the room. These are extra goblins that only have the electrum pieces on them. They don't have this bonus loot. So I need 2d4. Oh no, we have max 8 goblins come in the room. The party is going to be over here looking at loot, looking at treasure. I'm going to put these beds back up. What's a good way of looking at it? Where's a good one? Here? Here? Okay. So here's what the party's doing. The party's over here looking at beds, looking at these chests. I love the fact there's actually chests there. They're kind of all here. I don't need this guy. I don't need this guy. We have a goblin here, torchbearer probably over here, Loggy standing next to the torchbearer. Evil cleric is probably looking over at a chest by himself, seeing if maybe there's something he can grab with that. When more goblins come into play. Oh, little bit of a... We'll worry about that in a minute. After this fight. I didn't catch it till this fight. The elf has a spell. He should have already cast it. All right, so we're going to have goblins enter the room. They are not standing right there. That is so I can have them on the board. You think I have enough things? There's only one type of goblin, by the way. So we have... I'm going to make one of these goblins a leader type. It's not going to do anything for improved stats, but I am going to give it a bow. Let me check my phone real quick. Again. I'm sorry for that. I'm on call, so I have to make sure it's not anything work related. It's not. My parents just talking to me about lunch tomorrow. Okay, so we're over here. We need a hear noise. Do we hear the goblins coming? Because they're going to see our torchlight. For sure, no doubt. There's no avoiding that. So I'm going to give these two a hear noise check. Here's for Loggy. And here's for the human, fortunately human. So no, our early sentinel watch don't catch the sound of goblins moving through the darkness. Now we'll start with the demi-humans. We'll start with the elf, the more perceptive. Roll the 5. The Nordok. Roll the 2. So Nordok is going to be the first person to hear it. Now I'm going to roll for the humans. No and no. So the only one that hears it is Nordok. Nordok heard it early on. I'm going to see if the goblins know that there are dwarves. So I'm going to say with a 9, they are aware that there are dwarves. And they're going to be moving forward to attack. Now, how would this go out? I'm guessing that probably they would swarm the first two. That, unfortunately, would be the Torchbearer and Loggy. Loggy not having the best armor class is really unfortunate. The party is outnumbered. This could be a bad fight, right? This could be a game ender right here. The party is 5 plus a Torchbearer, and the bad guys are a total of 8 dudes. This could be bad right now. All right, so we're going to have them charge up. I'm going to say they do not get surprised because Nordok raises the alarm, but they do get to go first on this round. Next round, the party will go first. So that's how that's going to break. And then I'm going to say Nordok catches. We'll have 2 back here with bows, and they're going to be shooting. One at the cleric, one at the elf. And Nordok's going to be free at this moment in time because he apparently was alert. All right, so against Loggy, goblin number, let's go with the range first. So range 1, nat 20. Uh-oh, double damage. This could be the end of Loggy. So we get 2d6 damage for 7 points of damage. Oof. Loggy. She had 2 hit points. Loggy is dead. My 17 charisma dwarf is dead. I barely even got the player. Torchbearer. Six. That's a miss. Other goblin on there is a 6. That's a miss. The archer on the torchbearer, because he would have got there, was a 1. Does he break the bow? Dexterity check. He's going to charge in the melee because the weapon is destroyed. I'm going to say that Nordok goes a little bit angry at his sister being killed. And he's going to be moving in the melee as the only one that can really react. Well, I mean, the others get to react. They just go second. Over here, these 2 attacks on the cleric. Rolled an 18. Rolled a 17. Oh, my gosh. Whoops. Let me go ahead and see what that looks like for damage. Could have a dead cleric. That is a total of more hit points than he has. The cleric, the evil cleric, mind you, dies. So Alnod is gone. Loggy is dead. 2 PCs dead immediately. We now have 3 PCs and a torchbearer left. I'm going to say this is overwhelming odds. The Nodok is going to obviously attack. So here's for Nodok's attack. He rolled an 18. For sure, that is going to be a devastating attack. I'm going to say that's going to be more than the goblin has. So that's going to be an additional goblin dead. And good luck trying to pull Nodok off the fight with his sister dead. Then we're going to have the cleric move up to here, pulling Loggy out of the way, hopefully being able to save her. Attacking that goblin with a 19, as you can see. Also a great hit. Rolled a 2. Now I got to roll to see how many hit points. This is at -1. So this one has 7 hit points. So I'm going to say this is axe up. Has of 7. -2. Okay. The torchbearer is going to take the torch and smack the goblin. Not that he wants to, but because he will defend himself with a nat 20. That will be 2d6 of fiery damage, doing 7 points of damage, which will kill the goblin. And, interestingly enough, probably promote him. Because he has just done something pretty powerful for a torchbearer. Orem will see this and charge the other goblin next to him, and another nat 20. This is 2d6 damage for 9 points of damage, more than the goblin could possibly have. Killing that goblin. We are now turning that battle. We have killed 3 of the 8 goblins. Party gets to go first again because they do have a higher dexterity. This goblin would be charging in the combat. This goblin, this Nordok is going to go to that goblin in the back with the bow. He's going to move here and attack with his, I think he has a hand axe for him. Orem has a sword and shield. Torchbearer is not going to be running in the melee. He's going to be stepping back, providing torchlight, as one should. This would be for Nodok. Nodok's going to roll a 14. That will hit. He will do 2 points of damage. That goblin has a total of 5. So this is bow. It's 2 of his 5. The Oddberg is going to go into that goblin. Roll a 12. 12 is AC 7, which is leather, so that will hit. It's exactly what he needed. He will do another 6 points of damage for a total of more life than that one actually has. So that's another goblin dead. That puts the goblins at 50%. I'm going to go ahead and do a reaction. See if they're going to continue the fight. They roll an 11, so they are going to actually go and surrender or flee. Flee. They outnumber the party, but the party is obviously stronger, so they're going to flee. I'm going to say these two goblins get away into the darkness unless someone chases them down. I'm going to say these two goblins get a dex check or they're going to get hit. Actually, the rules are they just get attack and they go. Thinking of different systems. Nodak goes into the one he's already hit. Bow guy, he misses. And Orm is going to attack the one he missed. He rolled a 15. He does 1 point of damage. The goblin has 6 points of health. He's going to get away. No one is chasing them. They're all going to regroup. Now, I don't foresee a reason why the party would go in. They're down a cleric. They're down Logi. What they didn't know is the cleric was actually evil. Logi they knew was good because it's the sister of Nodak. So we're going to go ahead and wrap things up and then stop here for now. And then I will start that up with the party coming back into here. The question is, what are they going to do about these chests? So they have 2 people they have to carry out. They have 5 small chests. Don't want to make this not worth it, right? So what do? My thoughts are you go ahead and take the loot. Take the things. I'm going to roll some dice. I feel like that's the only way, because I know where some stuff is. And I need to go ahead and make some intelligence checks. Nordok is not going to be consolable. He's going to be out of this. He's going to be a fit of rage, wanting to leave with his sister and give her a proper burial. This goblin will probably be left. No concerns given. Matter of fact, I need to roll for the torchbearer, who makes his intelligence check and doesn't just outright kill the dude. Now the elf and the cleric's going to be like, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for Logi. There's nothing I can do for this other cleric. Wait a second, what's going on with this other cleric? And they're going to realize, oh, this cleric was not a good guy. This cleric didn't have the ability to heal, and he probably wasn't a fighter, which is what he represented himself as. They're going to see him as a spy. So the cleric's going to be focused on that. This leaves Orm to decide what we're doing with the loot. Orm is not going to be dissuaded by the fact that there is loot. He has a decent intelligence of 12. Therefore, he is going to be like, we need to make sure we take these things. Now, is he going to search the bags, the cloaks, and that? Here's for his 12 intelligence, or is he just going to take the chests which are out there in the open? So he is going to do a deeper search. We have time. No, there's no rush. Let's be patient. Let's do this the right way. He's going to go ahead and take the bedding and bag up the chests so they can be carried out. They're all heavy. And we will figure that out later. Now, I'm going to give him a wisdom check, which he has a wisdom. Of 7. Oof. Is there a difference between the weight on these chests? Yes. Does he find anything in the cloaks? No. So he does not find anything in the cloaks. He looks through the bags of the sacks of like around the things. Nothing really there. So nothing in the cloaks, nothing in the bags. We're going to take the obvious loot, the chests, and we're going to back out of the dungeon and come back in a different day. Now, chest number B, or the second one, is actually going to be that. And we're going to have everyone next day. We're going to do this in safety of the Green Dragon Inn. Do they want to hire a thief to do this? I'm going to leave this on a 4, 5, or 6. 4, 5, or 6, yes. They could be trapped. 1, 2, and 3. They are going to do this themselves. They don't want anyone else in the bar to know what they have. Okay, there's some wisdom to that. Everyone's able to be involved, at least of the 3 PCs that are there. Nodak is more interested now than he was about it. He has given his sister a proper burial, or at least ascend back to the homeland so that she can be buried properly. What are we doing with these 5 things? And of course, she will be buried with a portion of treasure, 10%, or a portion of treasure, and then 10% will be given to the next character that she would fall into. Okay, so they're going to have a little bit more starting gold, essentially. What do we have here? So, we have... I'm going to do a dexterity check on chest A. Who would do that? Who's the best dexterity? It's probably a bad way of looking at it. So of the 3 we have here, we have Nodak and Orem. Who's got the most likely desire to get into this stuff? Dwarves are naturally greedy, as said by many people, including Gygax and Tolkien. But in this particular thing, none of their traits say I favor it more than others. Obviously, Nodak wants treasure to go back with his sister, so he's got that going for it. He is enthusiastic. I'm going to say it's his dexterity we'll be rolling against. And he has a 10 dexterity. Is it the best? It ties for the best. So we're not doing the wrong choice. So on chest A, I rolled a 1. He is able to determine on chest 1 that it is trapped, that there is a trigger. I'm going to give an intelligence check. He fails. He does not know how to do it. So the basic thought is we'll take it in the middle of the room and we will destroy the chest. And then the poison needle or whatever it's going to do won't get us. They take it in the middle of the room. I'm not going to roll. This is a simple thing. They're able to destroy the chest. It makes noise. The problem is it doesn't do needle trap. It does a gas. The room fills with smoke, a green vaporous thing. They need to make save versus petrification. They're not being petrified, but this is a petrification save. So Adberg has a 14, has to roll 14 or higher. He fails. Nodak has a 12. He makes it. Orem has a 13. He fails. So Nodak stays awake. Everyone else falls asleep for a d6 turns. That would have been terrible in that dungeon. They wake up. No harm, just a poisonous gas of sleep. In a dungeon, bad. Here, not so bad. What does the bar think about it? They're pretty good. These type of things happen. Be chill, right? All right. We're going to go to chest number 2. Here's for the dexterity check. Makes it. Does not see a trap. Opens the chest by bashing it open. 10 makes it, does not see a trap, opens a trap by bashing it, destroying the chest. B, fails, bashes the trap, opens it, no problem, it's not trapped. Now, chest number 5, fails, bashes the trap. Oops, this one here, I don't know why I'm rolling the second time, bashes the trap, doesn't even need a roll. Also trapped, same thing. Adberg, rolled a 14, failed. Nodok, rolled a 16, made it. Orem, rolled a 14, made it. So this time, Adberg also failed. What is the bar thing? They're a little less sympathetic, and I gave it a negative. So the bartender is going to be like, all right, guys, twice in one night's a lot. We're going to need to get some money out of this. Fair enough. We're going to give you a portion of the loot, and we'll be 6 party members, not 5, and then you just make this calm. Now, will he accept that? 10. Yeah, he'll accept that. He's good with that. Let me go into a different screen. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, there are different loots. In chest A, there is 2,000 copper. And in chest B, there is 500 silver. Plus, we're going to have a total of 9 goblins that were captured, the loot taken off them. So that's going to be 18 D6s worth of electrum pieces and different types of coins. I'll go ahead and do a community post where I put the actual bounty, do the XP and all that. I'm going to end this here. And then I'm going to be doing a overall what I do with Zenopus Tower at the end of this series. So look for me in a couple days doing another live stream just like this, and we will continue to dive into Zenopus Tower. Thank you. Have a great day. Keep rolling those dice. Bye.